Welcome to YxYA Radio. My name is Dan Watson, and once again, I've got Johan Shaw. How you doing?
Yeah. Good,
and Benito Onyemba.
Yes. What's going on?
Mate, love the hoodie.
Thank you, bro.
You know I love that hoodie. We've had some amazing guests, eh?
You always say something nice about his clothes. Never.
No, I don't. No, I
So is
swear.
that well done, Benito? You're right, Johan.
Yeah, well, try harder. Anyway, so
Fair.
we've got an amazing guest in the studio today. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Nick Brewer.
Yes. How you doing, man?
How are you, sir?
I'm good.
Yeah?
How you guys doing?
You well?
Yeah, good.
We are very, very well. We're very, very well. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself, Nick.
Okay. My name's Nick Brewer. I'm a rapper. That's probably why I'm sitting here. I've loved rap all my life. And,
Literally, who had been your inspiration as you was growing up?
my two favourite rappers, I'd always say, is Nas and Eminem.
Okay,
Right.
okay.
Yeah. For like, I just love the way.
Why those two?
Nas, I just love the way he could just paint pictures. Like, I always felt like I probably had a very different upbringing to him. But whenever I listened to him, I could really like see what he was saying and imagine it, and I found that really powerful. Eminem, obviously, like similar but a very different story in terms of what he was telling. But I just thought his flow was just
What about UK
unbelievable.
artists?
UK, and then like they were the first two that I kind of like my big cousin showed me about when I was like 10, 11, and then when I got into secondary school, I loved Nasty Crew. Wiley's like one of my favourites. Kano, Gets, hugely influential on me. Yeah.
It's funny that you mentioned Gets because you did a track of Gets, didn't you?
Yeah.
That is sick, man.
How was that for you then?
Do you know what that was? That was
really
interesting.
cool, man.
Yeah. I'm like a massive fan of Gets, and that was like the first time I got to work with someone who I was a big fan of.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot from that experience because
Did you get gassed?
I was super gassed.
Did you try to outdo him in the studio? You're like, my bars are going to be stronger, better.
Do you know what? He's like such an animal in the studio.
Yeah,
It was
yeah, I
like,
can
I was
imagine.
just like, yeah. I was just happy that he was there. Yeah. My boy, it was literally like that. But no, it was sick. And I remember it was just, I learned a lot because it was like the first time I was working with like someone who I was a fan of, but still realising that it's my song and therefore I've got to make sure it's sort of
How you want.
represents me. So I learned a lot from that.
Cool. What kind of music do you do, Nick? What would you say? Like rap? Would you just call it grime?
I don't know. I think like I wouldn't call it grime specifically.
Yeah.
I like to spit fast, so in that sense, I guess so. But I would just call it rap. Like alternative rap feels a bit strange to me because I wouldn't necessarily call it alternative. I just would say it's rap. I like to rap over different speeds and different genres, and I just try and make sure that what I'm saying is something worth listening to.
Sick. So you grew up. We went to the same school
Yeah.
back in the day.
Yeah.
Dan, you're a popular guy, mate.
Well, I went to the same school as popular people. So I was a couple of years older than you.
Yeah.
What was it like for you growing up East London?
Well, it was. Do you know what? So basically, I grew up in a place called Hyams Park, which is like a very small part of northeast London.
It's like near Chingford, right?
Yeah, like kind of in between. Yeah, just by Chingford, Woodford, Walthamstow, that kind of area. And I originally went to a school called Hyams Park School, and then I moved to St Edward's, a school where.
Hold tight, St Edward's. Love you.
When I was in the sixth
peace and
one.
love.
So growing up, I was like, it was.
Did you hear about Mr. Webster?
Yeah, man.
Sad, eh?
It was really sad.
Sad. Super sad.
Yeah, sorry to hear that, man.
Yeah. No, that was sad, man. So
Sorry,
that-
who is Mr. Webster?
what's the
No,
word?
but
Sarcastic.
Put it into context. Mr. Webster was the deputy head teacher, and he was like the scariest of scariest teachers, right? But he was also the
very
softest and the
exactly.
nicest teacher as well. So he had mad respect, and he
Yeah.
actually passed away like a month or so.
Yeah, man.
But
That was So like for me growing up, I feel like I had quite an interesting upbringing because I'm from a Christian family.
Okay.
Very supportive parents, but kind of where I lived, like everyone in sort of the area where I was growing up was just kind of completely different sort of to my family, and so I just was able to kind of see a lot, and I felt like I enjoyed my upbringing, and it was quite eye-opening in many ways, I guess, and yeah.
And do you reflect that in your music? Do you talk about
I think so.
upbringing?
Yeah. I think so
area,
because
all that kind of
I
stuff?
feel like I can only talk about what I know really, and like hopefully have some sort of perspective worth listening to, but it has to come from a place of experience, because otherwise it's not really genuine. Do you know what I mean?
What is it that drives you? Like what
I think for me,
keeps you going? It's quite a difficult industry, isn't it?
yeah, I think for me, like I never really planned to be a rapper or anything like that, but as lyrics have played, and being able to write lyrics has played such a huge part in my life, and just because growing up I was very very timid, and wasn't really able, even though I had a lot going on in my head, I wasn't really able to express myself very well. Wow. So I found lyrics to really be like the door that kind of opened me to being able like to say what I was feeling. So, and just being able to listen to rappers and knowing the impact that they had on me when I was growing up, it's like, it's not something that I hold lightly. So I think what's kept me going has probably changed over the years, but I'd say what keeps me going now is like, there's people that need to hear what I have to say. Mm-hmm. And doesn't really matter how many people that is. Yeah. I don't know who that will be, but that's what I believe. So it's like, whatever comes from that, cool, but that's what it is.
And I love that you talk about that, because I think, like in this day and age, I think there's different types of rap music, isn't it? Yeah. But in your rap music, when we listen to it, you're like, there's a lot of storytelling, you're talking about your story. Yeah. And not too long ago, me and Dan went to an event, Allo Mate Live, Governor's event, and you share like a poem on anxiety. Yeah. And I thought that was amazing that you're using your music to really to share your experiences of what you've been through. Yeah. Why do you do that? Why do you think it's important for you as a rapper to put that in storytelling?
I think like I didn't realize this at first, but I realized when I started rapping and releasing songs, the best compliment that I could receive was someone saying that they related to it. And that wasn't necessarily something I realized when I first started. But as people started telling me that, I was like, that feels good. But it's like, then as I've matured, realizing that, okay, it's really good that people can relate to what I'm saying. And not that every song has to have a happy ending or whatever, but it's like, I don't just want to tell half the story. And so like in that poem, the poem that you're referring to, that's about anxiety. Yeah. So I kind of talk about my experiences of anxiety, but I think back in the day I might have just stopped there and just talked about my experiences of anxiety, and then people might have come and said to me, I really related to that, I got anxiety too. And it's like, cool, we both got that. But what I did in that poem was talk about how I was able to, I wouldn't say I've completely like defeated it, but how I've been able to learn to cope with it and not let it defeat me, more importantly. Yeah. So people can relate, but also learn sounds a bit arrogant, but do you know what I mean? Like take something away and hopefully be able to apply it to themselves in whatever way.
No, but they can learn.
Yeah, I guess, do you know what I mean? And so that's kind of...
That poem was heat, by the way. That was
cheers, man. Thank you.
You could hear a pin drop in the place. It was absolutely sick.
I appreciate that.
Nick, so your music, right?
Yeah.
So obviously you're Christian, all that kind of stuff. And you could, if you wanted to, you could blow up big in the Christian scene.
Right, okay. I thought he was going to say in the mainstream. I was going to say, it's not that easy.
I would have seconded you.
I've been here, man.
Yeah, I want it now. No, but it's like, you if I'm right, you haven't purposely chosen to go down that path. You've gone to, I want to influence mainstream secular scene. What was that decision making for you?
It was interesting because like I became really good friends with Governor B when I went to school. Yeah, I met him there, and we just became really good mates. And he's obviously a Christian rapper, and he sort of introduced me to a world that I didn't really know existed in terms of Christian rap. And if I'm honest, I think there's a lot of Christian rap that definitely plays a role, but it just didn't feel like it was for me to do. Like, I felt like, I just don't know, like, it just didn't feel like that was the sole audience that I felt like I wanted to reach. And I didn't want to pigeonhole myself.
I love that.
Yeah.
I think there's more people that should go with their gut instinct. Yeah. Instead of trying to I feel like I should. Yeah. It's like, what do you feel like you should be in? Yeah. I think that's great that you're doing that.
Cheers. And it was like, at times, I ended up realizing that if I was kind of to go down the kind of Christian route, it would just be for the wrong reasons. It would just be like, to be honest, for like money reasons and things like that. And I was like, nah, I'd prefer not to make money. Do you know what I mean? Like from music anyway, if that's what if that's what it meant. Not saying that that's what other people do, but just for me personally. That was kind of. So
we're like, our message is like we want to positively shape society.
Yeah.
And like throughout, however we do stuff, whatever we do, and what's in our hands to do.
Yeah.
How do you think your music is positively shaping society?
I mean, I don't know if it is. I would hope that it is. I think, like, especially, it's weird because if you asked me that question maybe like a year ago, I probably would have given you like quite a cliche answer.
Yeah.
But then in the last year, without going into it too much, there's been a lot of change and upheaval in my life, and I've had to ask myself those questions a lot more deeply. And I've had to look at my lyrics and listen back to old songs and be like, was I actually saying anything? So now when I write, I think I've just been so blessed by God, like in so many ways. And I think for a long time I was just feeling very woe is me, you know. I'm a writer, I'm a creative, and I feel sorry for myself all the time. Like that's kind of like the space, the mental space I got into. But now I realise, similar to what I said a little bit earlier, like I've got something to say. My stories to tell will resonate and maybe spark a thought or bring about some sort of movement, no matter how big or small, in someone else. And that's not necessarily ever going to be something I'm going to be able to gauge. But like, for example, there was a lot of things that I used to feel like maybe I shouldn't speak about. For example, this sounds kind of silly, but I got a song coming and it's about my dad. And me and my dad got a great relationship. And I feel embarrassed saying this, but I was almost, for a while, like especially growing up, I was kind of embarrassed that I had such a good relationship with my dad because it wasn't necessarily what I saw in rap music and just among my friends. Yeah. But I've realised, actually, that's something that God's given me and that's something that I should shed light on because that's my story.
I actually love that, man.
Yeah, and it's like, but then I was worried because it's like, well, what if people who don't have necessarily, maybe their dads have, aren't around for whatever reason, but it's like, but especially in the Bible talks about being a father to the fatherless. And that so if that maybe makes someone, I don't know, just for example, maybe makes someone think, yo, I need to reach out to this kid, or like I need to check up on them, then that would be cool. And if anything, if it just makes people think, wow.
First thing that comes into my head when you say that is that's gonna inspire, that will inspire me to have a great relationship with my kid. Because you're talking about it. And I want to be what you're talking about. Yeah. So I'm going to demonstrate that throughout my relationships with my kid. I want to be a good dad.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And like, so for the video, it's not out yet, but I've like got my dad to like rap some of the words.
Serious?
My dad's a music man, but he's by no means a rap man. And he's an awkward middle-aged white man. He's great, but it was a long process, and it was like, but for me, it felt really good because I'm quite like an open book. My dad's a little bit more of a man's man, but from that experience, even our relationship, I knew that it was something, because he was telling his work colleagues and telling like my mum and dad's friends, like, oh yeah, like Nick's getting me to rap, and I could tell he was proud of like just that he was able to be a part of it, and it was like, it felt like, do you know what I mean? And in that song, for example, there's no mention of, I don't even mention God or I don't know, but it was like that is something that I know God's given me and something that I wanted to shine a light on, and like. Do you know what I mean? If things like what you've just said can come out of it, then...
But I think...
It's funny as well because it's kind of an extension of your relationship. You've actually cultivated your relationship with your dad by getting him involved and letting him into that part of your life, which seems to have been... Obviously, if you've got a good relationship with him already, you would have done that naturally. And then it's like, I've actually let him into my music as well, which is really cool. And I also... Earlier, you were saying about, you went for a phase where you were like, oh, I'm a woe is me, kind of like... Which... I think it's amazing that you're so aware that that's what it is, because I think a lot of songwriters can go down that kind of like, woe is me, this is just my feelings, you either take it or leave it, this is how I feel. And it feels like what you're doing is, you're getting your craft together, you're trying to upskill all the time. And I can't wait to hear the new music, because it feels like you're really working on it. And because a lot of people will just go, this is how I feel, which is great sometimes, but like at the same time, if you can craft something,
that's the thing.
You've put effort in. You've re-looked at it. You've seen it from people's different perspectives. You've tried to hone the craft type thing.
And that's the thing. And I think it's like there's a responsibility. Anyone that no matter how many people are listening, like anyone that's got an audience, like you got a responsibility to say something.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's like not painting a pretty picture of unreality, but it's also not. It's just kind of making people like, oh, well, I've listened to that and what do I do now? Do you
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Sometimes you feel like
sometimes there's a time for that. Sorry to interrupt.
yeah.
Like sometimes, but it's like what I love about like the Psalms is like, and there are times when David or whoever's writing it, there is a little bit like, where are you, God? But the powerful ones for me are the ones where it's like comes full circle and it's like, there you are.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And yeah.
That's what you do in your song about anxiety.
Yeah.
Right, you talk about your story, but then you kind of give the answer or a solution.
Yeah, and I think that's just the conclusion that I've come to just from growing and like things going wrong in music and in life and you know, but just realizing that actually, like, let me not give people half a story because that doesn't really help no one.
If you give one bit of advice to anyone listening, any young person listening, who would love to pursue their dreams, pursue their goals, maybe in music or whatever, what advice would you give them?
That's a good question. I think probably what I'd say would sound somewhat obvious, but I think I genuinely, and as much as I didn't want to believe it, I found so much validation in being able to rap. Like, I'm a pasty white boy, yeah? And like, I wasn't like particularly good at anything else, so I definitely.
You're not that pasty. You just
trust me. They got like, do you know what I mean? Trust me. See me on the beach, I'll be shining. But like for me, I was able to find so much validation and be able to fit in so much, and I was really able to use my like ability to be able to rap to like, not like, just find my place, and that felt really good. And being, oh, Nick, he's a spitter, you know. And it's like, there's nothing wrong with that. That's a byproduct of having a talent. But I found so much validation in that to the point where as soon as I had a song that no one liked, I just felt like rubbish. And that was kind of the start of that journey that I was saying like a little while ago. So I'd say that, and it's a process, but I'd say that you have to be, actually like one of my best friends, Jordan, who's a footballer, like I remember he said something to me, because I love football, but aside from ability, I just didn't have the mentality to play because I would just crumble. And like, I'd go watch him play and I'd be like, how do you cope with people getting on you? And he's like, I know that if I have a good game, that doesn't make me any better than I am. And if I have a bad game, it doesn't make me any worse than I am. I'm good, you know, and it's not about what people say. And it's being able to find that grounding, knowing that you've got a talent and you push it, but it's like, whether it's music, whether it's whatever, do everything you can, but know that it doesn't define you. Like, and it's because it might reap loads of benefits. It might not work out in a way that you think, but it's like, know that you have a talent, push it, and just know that whatever comes from it is what God has. And I think the way to do that, because that's like, I think that's probably decent enough advice, I would say, but it's like, the way I've done that is by like my friends like Jordan, having people around me who I discuss things with, having like, I've got like a mentor in my church who I discuss things with, and just realizing that like my mentor, he's a teacher. He's not in the music world by any means, but he's someone that I can go and chat to and about everything, and I'm able to get like a kind of a clear. He doesn't need to know about the mess or the politics of the music industry, but he's just able to kind of say what he feels like God has for me. So. Yeah, know that you have a talent, push it, and do everything you can, but know that it doesn't define you, and it doesn't make you any better, like, or any worse if it doesn't, or does work out.
I love that, mate. That's absolutely
that is cool, bro.
Gold advice. Advice. And just to finish up, Benito has got a little.
It's been quite serious. I'm do you know what I mean? I'm laid back.
I've loved it. It's been sick.
No, this is a serious bit too.
I thought he was going to give me a joke.
No, he is. Yeah.
Seriously bad.
This is gone. Why did God create woman before man?
Why did God create woman before man?
Yeah.
Go on, enlighten me.
Why did God create? Yeah. I'm getting threats from the studio here, Dan.
No,
for this joke.
Do it.
Why did God create the woman before the man?
Why didn't?
Why did He create the woman? Oh, sorry. Why did God create the man before the woman? That was a joke, everyone.
Crash the bed.
That was a joke.
YxYA Radio, guys. Thanks
This
for
guy is
amazing,
raising up
bro.
our young people.
Flipping heck. I'm not Bible scholar, but I know that.
That was a joke, bro. That was a joke. You guys are laughing, though. Right? Nick, it's been amazing, mate. Thank you so much.
Give it up for Nick, bro.
Everyone.